Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm doing a holiday themed video, if you count this a holiday. I guess I count it as a holiday. Valentine's Day is today, and I figured I would make a quick video showing some of my favorite couples in books, in literature. Well, probably not in all of literature because I haven't read all of literature, but some of my favorite couples or portrayals of romantic relationships that I have read up until this point. So yeah, I only have a selection of 5 here. I guess I'm about to contradict myself, but I wanted the criteria to be books about the relationship, but then looking down the list, I break that rule. So 5 books to talk about today. So there's sort of a myriad of genres here: classics, contemporary fiction, fantasy, sci-fi. There's something in it for everyone. But before we get into the list of books here, just wanted to shout all of you guys out. Thank you so much for watching the videos, liking, commenting, subscribing, what have you. Consider subscribing if you aren't subscribed. Plenty more videos to come. I got a notes sheet that I'm scrolling through looking for video ideas that I've drummed up in this head of mine. So safe to say I won't run out of videos to make anytime soon. And stick around for in the next couple of weeks. This scenery may change behind me. So I guess a big announcement coming soon. But yeah, without further ado, let's jump into some relationships within books that I have liked. First one here is Open Water by Caleb Azuma Nelson. I probably should have looked up who the main characters were before making this video. I only say this because I read this about a year ago, about this time last year, and I've forgotten the main characters' names. I may not have had any character names. I think that might be the case. It's told like from first person. So I don't think they're actually named in here. But this is a love story about just 2 normal people in the rainy British landscape. I think in London. They run into each other at a pub, and they're immediately starstruck by one another's presence. And the way that it details like the small things within a relationship that mean the most, like, you know, putting your shoes together when you walk in the door and waking up and seeing him still there and all that sort of thing. I think it details that extremely well. It's a short book. And yeah, definitely give it a shot. I think everyone could get something out of this book. One of my favorite books of last year. I rated it 4 stars. I don't know why I rated it 4 stars. That was before I started reviewing books, I think. But yeah, written by Caleb Azuma Nelson. This is Open Water. Alrighty, next up here, favorite, maybe not the favorite, but a favorite of mine, probably the book that got me into reading the most. This is The Song of Achilles, and this centers around the relationship between Achilles and Patroclus. It paints it in a more romantic way. Historians don't really know what to think of that relationship, whether it was more brotherly or something more than that. This definitely paints it in a more romantic light in the way they talk about one another, think about one another, interact with one another. Has stuck with me clearly almost 2 years after I've read this book. Give it a shot if you haven't read it. It's hyper popular, I guess was hyper popular, so there used to be a lot of content on this book. I don't see it talked about a whole lot too much more, or anymore, I should say. But yeah, this book is also just good in general. It's a sort of fantasy retelling of the story of Achilles. It's got some good action scenes in it, some good political drama, world building I think is superb. And yeah, give this one a read, if nothing more, just for those elements. Alrighty, like I said, these are in no particular order, I guess. Next up, who will we talk about? I guess there is a particular order because the last one is my favorite. So I stand corrected once again. Next up, I'm going with Harry and Ginny from the Harry Potter series. I like, in my reread of this series last year, I like how the relationship between them is sort of started in the first book, as weird as it sounds. They're younger, obviously. He's 11, she's 9, so there isn't like anything like that, but you can sort of see the interweavings of their soon-to-be relationship coming in year 6, in year 1, like how Ginny gets nervous around him. And maybe this is me just reaching because he's the most famous wizard in the world, so that could be why she's getting nervous around him, or is there something more? Read it and find out. But yeah, this is sort of lower. Well, like I said, there's no order, but of the 5 here, this might be the lowest one just because the way they portrayed it in the movies is so terrible compared to the books that it's like, are these even the same 2 people? Probably not. Picked up, or showing this book, The Half-Blood Prince, because I think this one has the most relationship talk in it, the most drama. It's also my favorite movie of the 8. So yeah, if you haven't read the Harry Potter series, I would assume you're a monk and haven't experienced the world. That's probably too harsh to say, but whatever. Read the books. Like I said, I mean, it's just like a kid's fantasy series, so there's not a whole lot of, like, I guess, like, the relationships aren't the focus of them, but they are a bigger part in the 6th book. That's sort of reaching that age. I think they're 16 or 17 in this book, so past the teenage angsty years into young adults. And yeah, Harry and Ginny, specifically from the books, not from the movies. Coming up next, alrighty. Like I said, I'll save my last one, maybe recency biased for, or my favorite one for last. Next one I have up is, this is Words of Radiance by Brandon Sanderson. The relationship in here between Adolin and Shallan, I think, was done very well. Obviously, the series itself is about 6,500 pages, so there's a lot to hash out. I'll try to give it a quick once over if I can. I like that they sort of balance each other out. Sorry, spoilers, I guess, if you haven't read the first book. Whoops. Oh well. Yeah, I like they sort of balance each other out. I like how they help each other with their own health issues and are open to talking in that way. Yeah, they truly make each other a better pairing. It didn't really, like I said, I didn't really like the 5th book, so I guess it does leave sort of a sour taste in my mouth in the series, but I remember the 2nd book I think was definitely my favorite, and this is when that relationship started. So I'm showing you this book here. Now, well, spoilers, I won't say anything anymore, but I think of the whole Stormlight Archive series, there's oodles of characters and relationships. The relationship between Adolin and Shallan was my favorite, as it was for most people. So give it a shot if you haven't. It's daunting, I know. If you can, just get through the first 3 books. I think that tells the story pretty well. The last 2 were not my favorite. Alrighty. Next up, I guess last on the list here, recency bias. I picked up a new copy of this book because I gave my copy that I read to my grandmother. She thought that she would like it, so I gave it to her. Ordered this one on Thrift Books for like $4, and they sent me a first edition copy of it with the dust jacket. This is Heaven Has No Favorites by Eric Remarque, author of All Quiet on the Western Front. And yeah, this is a first edition US printing of the book in hardback with the dust jacket and the dust jacket protector. So I got a pretty good deal, I would say. Being one of my favorite books of last year, I like that I have now sort of like a collectible of the book. I'll definitely display it like this on my shelf, sort of forward facing. And yeah, the relationship between, like I said, I probably should have had the names written down. Clairfiat is the dude's name, and am I an idiot? Does she not have a name? She has a name. Clairfiat and Lillian. There we go. So Clairfiat is this like uber successful race car driver, and Lillian is stuck in this Swiss Alps sanatorium, basically just waiting to die. She has this sickness and she could die at any moment. Clairfiat goes to the sanatorium to visit a buddy of his, or his racing partner, who's in a crash, and so they're healing him up there. He meets Lillian, and the rest is history. They're both sort of, I guess, living the day, or living their life one day at a time, but for various different reasons. The guy likes to drive fast cars and put his life at danger. The woman has no other choice but to live a life of danger with her mysterious illness that she has. And so seemingly they are a perfect match for one another. You'll just have to read the book to find out. It's rather short, so I crushed this in like 2 days. I could not put it down. Probably my favorite book of 2024. And yeah, definitely read it if you haven't already. I feel like I'm preaching to the choir with how much I've raved about this book. I don't see anyone talk about it, so I will continue to preach about it until it gets its flowers. But yeah, Heaven Has No Favorites by Eric Remarque. And that does it for some of my favorite couples in the books that I have read up until this point. We will go ahead. Should we do a thumbnail real quick? Spine's facing back because whatever. Whoa, don't drop them. All right, I guess quick rundown. Heaven Has No Favorites with Clairfiat and Lillian, Words of Radiance with Adolin and Shalon, Harry and Ginny in the Harry Potter series, Patroclus and Achilles in the Song of Achilles, and the two characters in Open Water. Like I said, I believe that's told from the first person point of view, and there isn't a name for the characters. It's just like, they call it like you and her, I think, if I remember correctly. You as in the guy, I think is told from the dude's point of view. But yeah, let me know down below what some of your favorite relationships in the books that you have read are. Let me know what your Valentine's Day plans are. Grabbing dinner with my girlfriend later. And yeah, we'll see how that goes. Give it a like if you liked it. Consider subscribing if you aren't already, and all that jazz. Appreciate you being here. Hope you have a great rest of your day, and we'll catch you in the next one. Thanks for hanging out, guys.